Hello and welcome to our podcast. My name is Natasha.
And my name's Lauren.
Join us as we discuss all things Neighbours.
And it's unfinished business.
Another fortnight, another episode.
Yes, hello guys. Thank you for joining us for episode number 6.
We will be discussing the last 2 weeks of episodes, plus we will be going through our top 5 Paul Robinson scandals.
Ooh, I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be juicy. So let's dig in. What are your thoughts on the latest episodes?
God, I mean, where do you start? Flashback week, and then obviously this week, which is obviously kind of carried on with the storylines a little bit. God, where do you start? Obviously, it starts with Mel obviously explaining the reason as to why, she disappeared, etc. But it took a bloody long time to get there.
It was so long. I was like, come on, get on with it. Get on with it. Where's the
punchline? Yeah, I mean, my first thoughts about this was like, really, Mel, a fugitive? Like, it's a little bit far-fetched.
It is far-fetched, yeah.
Like, I wasn't like keen on that whole thing because it's just very like not Mel. But I get it from a writer's point of view how they're gonna like, introduce this new character. And obviously it's very, very clever how they've managed to, bring all the different storylines into it and have like an overall like story. So it's been very interesting in that aspect as to how certain people have played a role in it, because obviously like all the little teasers that we've had before, it's like, well, hang on a minute, how does Aaron and David and Nicolette how are they involved in this and stuff. So I think that was really clever. But yeah, I was just kind of like yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, how would you feel about the whole?
Well, I with Flashback Week, I was very confused. So I watched it last week.
Yeah.
Just because I know that before the last episode, I was a little bit behind. So I was in a bit of a rush to watch it. So I decided to actually watch that week rather than just leave it as 2 weeks and binge it. I ended up having to watch it again yesterday, those 4 episodes of Flashback
remind
Week.
Yourself, yeah.
Yeah, because I've found it really confusing trying to keep up with what's actually going on.
This is why I keep notes.
Yeah. I mean, I know I tend to kind of get distracted and do other things and multitask whilst I'm watching. So I actually did yesterday focus and just watch it, no distractions.
Yeah.
So trying to piece it together, but still it's just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer. And I think it is good how they've done it in terms of like how they've woven all of the characters and how they're all involved with it, and how they're affected by it. But at the same time, I just felt like it was it was all explained and like wrapped up in like the last episode, but we had to spend like 2.5, 3 episodes going,
like,
now what next? Come on.
But obviously it's purposely done like that to make
but I just like really frustrated. I'm also a little bit frustrated with the fact that we're not getting any comedy. We're not getting any comedy. Like, how many months has it been? 2 months, 3 months? 3 months.
When did we start?
September.
Yeah,
so 3 months, and Carl is literally nowhere to be seen. He was in one little shot of the flashback stuff.
I mean, I think you need to blame this on actual Alan for...
No, but saying that though, no, but the thing is, I understand, and also they're giving the newer characters time to shine, which I love them, to be honest. I love all the new characters. Like, there's no one that I can say that oh my god, it's so annoying. To be honest, Ellie coming back ruined my week. And it's ruined this week as well, because I've watched it twice now.
When she mentioned Ellie.
So anyway, I'm just blocking that out. But no, we're missing something. I just feel like it's very geared up for an American Canadian audience. It's
Mm.
like Neighbours are trying to prove to a new, fresh audience, this is the drama. This is what we. Oh my god, it's so dramatic. But actually, what we do really well is comedy.
Yeah, and they're like forgetting that.
And
You know?
it's been 3 months, and I can't actually tell you. And there's been some storylines and some scenes that really could have had comedic value. They could have added a bit of comedy. There's literally been nothing.
Mm.
Maybe a few little things here and there, like with Amy coming back with Lance, and there was a little bit there.
Well, I was going to say about that, like, I didn't really see the relevance of her being there. Like, I know obviously she's was a best friend of Toadie, and obviously she was at the wedding, so obviously it wouldn't
Yeah,
make sense for her to
yeah.
just not be there. And then, but like, she could have just, they could have just referenced her, and like, I don't know,
They didn't have
like
to do scenes with
the
her. Yeah,
continuity, like her being in some of the
yeah,
scenes, the same as Yashvi and that, like it
yeah,
made
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
But it was just like, oh, you've brought Amy back. This is her baby daddy. Lance has come back, and then you've gone, oh right, well hang on a minute, we need to sell the van to somebody else. So I suppose that then
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
the
yeah.
reason why David was then with
Yeah.
Mel
And
and
that was the
like,
reason David was on the van. That
yeah,
everyone was going,
like
"Oh my god, there's
he's
David's on
coming
the
back.
van. He's coming
Yeah,
back."
like, so I get why she was there because obviously needed her for that, like, but I was just kind of like, it was wasted
Yeah.
really for her being in those scenes. I literally wrote like that down, like it's just yeah. Anyway, um, yeah. What are your thoughts on like how Toadie and Therese have like reacted to it, and like the fact that
There's so much denial, projection, deflection, literally,
like
like,
particularly in these last few episodes as well, they've
yeah, no, it's very much a case of them going, "We're together, we're strong," but no, there's so many cracks already.
well, actually,
And
we're only together because we thought that our
yeah,
relevant partners had,
yeah,
didn't love us anymore. But
yeah,
actually, hang on a minute, they do still love us. So what if maybe we should be
yeah.
with that other person, you
But I
know?
actually think that Toadie is a little bit more, "I don't wanna be with Mel," whereas I'm not convinced about Therese is very much in her head, the way she's
Yeah,
resisting Paul, especially in some
yeah,
of the coming up next,
mhm,
little clips.
yeah.
The way she's resisting Paul, doth protest too much is what I say.
Well, it's a
And
pattern, isn't it? It's how
I
she used
f
to be before she
I
got with
feel there's
him.
gonna be some kind of cheating passion. Maybe that's the first affair we'll see.
We will see.
Please, please,
Yeah,
please.
then you'll win something, won't you?
That'd be really good.
um, yeah. Holly, do you know what? I actually love Holly's like involvement in this.
Mhm.
Like, I think it's really good. Like the fact that she's the reason, I suppose, that Eden's come back and obviously ruined everybody's lives and stuff. But she's come out the other end of it being really sort of strong. Yeah, I think her part in it was actually really sort of crucial in that. But going on to that, her and Has and the whole Mac situation that's happened this week, like Mac being like, oh, like it's fine, yeah, go and have fun, and then inside actually dying and being like, no, like I really want him. like like I know it's the whole like building it
Mhm.
up, the tension and stuff
Mhm.
like that, but it's like, oh, for God's sake, girl, like come on,
Yeah.
like sort your shit out.
But at the end of the day, like, Holly shouldn't hold back, because at the end of the day, she's made that decision for whatever reason. And like she says, I don't have a monopoly on he has, like, he's his own person, and I can't claim him just because I might want to be with him.
Yeah,
Like, it's not fair. And I just think it's really endearing of Holly to be like, I don't want to be my mother.
yeah,
I
I
don't want to be my
literally was
mother.
gonna say that. Yeah, I don't, yeah, no, that was a nice reference. I liked it when she said about that. The other thing is like, how do you feel about like the whole like Byron and Reese situation now, because obviously she's like supposedly like left
I don't
to go.
care about it anymore.
No, because you're like,
I
oh,
don't
like
care.
amazing, like Krista's alive, well done. And like her, when the first time she like walked into the hospital and saw her, it was like the coldest welcome like ever. I was like, that's your sister, like, and you're just kind of like, hi, like, there was literally
Yeah,
like no chemistry between them as like sisters. I know they'd been like parted for a while, but like
yeah.
it was really like,
I mean, for me, I just feel like, no offense to Misha Barton, but I just feel like I don't think her character's necessarily added that much.
No.
I feel like Krista's going to end up staying and being more of a fun character or a
Having
more
an impact.
interesting
Yeah, yeah,
character, yeah, than
yeah.
her. And it's almost like she was the gateway to Krista coming. That was the storyline, because obviously we didn't know a Sinclair before that, and then we know a Sinclair, and now we know the family, or we've heard about the family.
Yeah.
So yeah, and my question is Misha, like, what is her contract? Has she actually been
I don't know,
contracted
because
for a
someone
few
was
months,
writing
or is
like,
it a
"Oh,
year?
they were like, oh, Misha's left now, or whatever," and I was like, "Well, surely not, because unless I don't know, unless she's gone and then
I
she's
mean, has
just."
she permanently left, or is it just like a break?
Yeah,
Like
that's what I mean.
Alan's gone on on his
I don't know. Like, it's weird.
tour.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
Not sure. The
Yeah.
other thing is like Aaron, David, and Nicolette. Like, it's really cool having them back, and I've actually warmed a little bit to the whole Nicolette thing. But I really want to know what this whole thing is that Hera and Paul have, and the real reason that she like broke up with Kiri. I'm like, what's going on there? She's going
Mm,
back to her old ways again.
mm,
She,
mm.
that's really interesting.
What I really liked was, because I questioned it, I was like, hold on a second, why is David calling him Paul and not Dad?
Oh,
And
he
then
said,
he
didn't
then
he?
said,
Yeah,
well, the reason is because he's just literally so much trouble. I'm
yeah,
not going to call him Dad anymore. I'm going to call him
disowned him.
Paul. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and to be honest, like, we'll probably cover it later, but his protectiveness has just ruined so many relationships. So I literally don't blame
hmm,
David. I reckon before he actually met his dad, before he
yeah.
knew who his dad was, like, he probably had a better life than, he's not a doctor anymore, or at least not
No.
practicing.
The last thing I just wanted to say is like, I
Hmm.
love having Chloe back. I love
Yeah,
her
it's
so
been
much.
yeah,
I'm just
really
like,
nice.
yay, she's
Although her
back.
hair is a lot blonder, isn't it?
Yeah, but obviously
I was
she's,
like going, hold on, her hair's really blonde.
yeah. I
But
think
yeah,
in
she
the
looked like a Barbie girl in her pink
yeah,
dress.
no, she looked really cool. I loved it, and I was like, yes, she's back. Like,
Mm,
she's gone away and learnt so much, and obviously she's now like a big boss in like Lassiter's in Sydney or whatever.
yeah,
Obviously,
what she
like,
deserves.
yeah, still hate the fact that obviously she's with fucking Ellie,
Yeah,
you know.
not
But
keen on that.
yeah, you know, it
Yeah,
is what it is,
yeah,
whatever. But yeah, no, loving it. So, but it's been a good week. It's been a good 2 weeks, I suppose. It's just a bit like,
yeah.
yeah, took a while
Bit
to
all
get
over the place. Yeah,
there, but
and I guess
hopefully,
now we're probably still going to get, maybe not flashbacks, but we're going to get more information from the past.
yeah. And I hope it gets like exciting, because it was exciting. It was nice to see those things, but like you said, it's missing something, isn't it? Like some comedy, I suppose.
Yeah, we need some comedy, and maybe Chloe has been quite comedic, her,
Yeah,
you know
the little looks that she gives and stuff like that.
yeah, like, we want her screwing up faces.
Her and
We miss
Leo,
those.
maybe her and
Yeah,
Leo can have a little like,
Leo needs to do more as well, to be
God,
fair. They need to give him some storylines.
fucking boring me. I was like,
Yeah,
how does Leo not know about this whole situation?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
how was that kept from him?
yeah,
Like,
because usually out of the two brothers, he's the dodgier one,
yeah, I don't know.
naturally, anyway.
Anyway, so we've actually got an update to the new chapter predictions, don't we?
Yeah, so the question was, who will be the first to have an accident resulting in a hospital stay?
And actually, so none of us are actually right on this one, because the character was not actually announced prior to the relaunch, and actually it
Hmm.
wasn't an accident. She was
Hmm.
actually drugged. So Krista is actually the first person to stay in hospital, but
I mean,
so
I think we'd count that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean,
Yeah, we never would have got that either.
like
Like,
literally, like no
the
chance,
person, yeah,
no
no.
chance. So actually, the scores, so there still are the fans won, you won, and me too. So I'm still winning.
Whatever. I'm waiting for the affair one with Paul and Therese. Right, so let's move on to one of our favourite characters, Paul Robinson.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, like, I mean, he has been at the center of so many scandals, hasn't he?
Yeah. So let's get started, shall we? We haven't got much
Yeah.
time.
Let's do it. Okay, so tell me, what is number 5 on your list?
So the first scandal that takes us back right to the start.
Mhm.
So actually stuff that I've not watched.
Same here.
Um, but I've, done a bit of research and I read this and I was like, yeah, no, this has to be on there.
Okay.
So this scandal is at the beginning of Paul and his scheming. So
Okay.
in 1993, we see him get Phil Martin,
Mhm.
um, and he gets him involved in a fraudulent scheme. And then Phil ends up taking the blame for it.
Mm.
Paul then goes to Brazil. So he flees to Brazil because he doesn't want to
Okay.
go to
Okay.
prison,
Yeah.
doesn't want to get caught. So, but because his grandmother dies, so that's
Yeah.
Helen Daniels,
Mhm.
he then returns to Erinsborough
Yeah.
for the funeral, and obviously
Mhm.
he ends up getting arrested. And then he is sentenced to 7 years for fraud, but he only does 3 years. And yeah, that's
Wow,
it.
okay. Really interesting. I mean, he was quite the
Mhm,
businessman, wasn't he? Like a
mhm,
workaholic. I
mhm.
guess he was just tempted to, go to the
Yeah,
dark side, and that's kind of suppose where it
mm,
like all began for him. I mean, like,
yeah.
so what's the next scandal?
So the next one, at number 4, we
Yeah.
have the newspaper debacle.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I remember this.
so yeah, so Paul bought Erinsborough News,
Yeah,
so became the owner. He appointed Susan Kennedy. I think, yeah, I'm not sure if it was straight away, but he appointed Susan Kennedy as the editor.
yeah,
But that wasn't enough for him, so he actually wanted to be the editor too because he's just a control freak, right?
yeah.
Um, Proper control freak. So yeah, he did a whole bunch of dodgy things during this time. He tried turning the newspaper from a serious journalistic paper into a salacious gossip tabloid.
Oh,
He did this by writing stories about the residents, which were not very nice stories.
no.
So yeah, like one of the examples was when he tried to ruin AJ Kapoor's career. So AJ was councillor
Yeah,
for Erinsborough. Um, and AJ had made the decision to save money by merging police stations in Erinsborough,
yeah,
essentially to reduce resources.
yeah,
And yeah, so Natasha, I know I'm Natasha, but Natasha, blonde Natasha,
yeah.
she ended up throwing a house party. I remember this so clearly, actually. And yeah, so Paul used this to his advantage.
Mm.
He basically shared the information on, I think it was online, social media, whatever, to encourage lots of random youngsters to gate
I
crash.
think he hacked into her social media and
That's
posted.
it. So
Yeah,
there we go.
yeah,
Bit sketchy on the details. So yeah, and then all of these youngsters gate crashed the party. It was really loud. It was going on for hours, late into the night. The whole street was a mess. There was just like toilet paper everywhere, streamers, like an
yeah,
American kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
house party,
yeah.
did they even have the red cups like they have in all the college
Maybe I can't
parties?
remember.
I can't
Probably.
remember. They probably did. But yeah, so Paul was supposed to call the police and I
Yeah,
think he was in cahoots with Carl, wasn't he, talking
he
about it?
was
And
at
he said,
Carl's house.
I'll call the police.
Mm,
And made out like he had, but he hadn't.
yeah.
So basically delayed calling them. And then obviously when it got so crazy, he eventually did.
Mm,
And then he just made out that the police, because of the lack of resources, because of the
yeah,
lack of police,
yeah,
the police presence, that that's why the party got out of hand. And actually they should have responded sooner, but because of the resources, they couldn't.
yeah,
So then he wrote an article about that.
yeah,
um, but Susan Kennedy ends up finding about all of this and finds out what uh, Paul had been doing,
yeah,
all of his meddling,
yeah.
and then she ended up announcing all of this to the press, and he was forced to step down as editor. So it backfired.
Yeah, like honestly, I literally remember this storyline so well because it's quite near the beginning of when I
Yeah, yeah.
obviously it starts when the new
Mhm.
kind of episodes.
Yeah.
Like he really is like such a devil, like isn't he? Like
Yeah.
yeah, crazy. What do you have at number three?
So this is a pretty short one.
Hmm.
So number three, it's when Paul planted illegal drugs in Josh's bag. Don't know if you remember that.
Yes, I do.
That was in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He was mad at him for sleeping with Naomi, who he had an interest in. And I think after all of this happened, he ended up proposing to Naomi. So that was
Mhm.
how serious he was about her.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he had a bit of a thing for her, and as we know, he's on the protective slash possessive side.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was particularly bad for Josh because he had already been done for GBH on Chris
Mhm.
Pappas,
Mm.
right? When he was like really, really pissed because alcohol doesn't agree with him,
He
right?
had alcohol poisoning. Yeah,
That's
he's
in it.
a
Yeah,
missing chromosome or something like that. Yeah.
that's it, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got community service for that. But obviously he had a good behaviour bond that he had to keep in place.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he was working at the gym at the time. So he not only lost his job at the gym, but also compromised the good behaviour bond. So bit naughty of Paul, right?
Like, wow. Like he just literally cannot like help himself like at all. Like, I mean, can it get any worse? I mean, I think you're gonna tell me. Like, what's the next one?
Well, we've got two more, so yes. So my number two,
Hmm.
in the Paul Robinson scandals, is when he gaslights Steph Scully. And he does this to the extreme. And I remember rewatching this, so because it's within the last 10 years, and I was
Yeah.
completely shocked. So he wanted to drive Steph out of town.
Yeah.
The backstory was that Steph had a mental breakdown when she had previously returned to Erinsborough. And do you remember she kidnapped Lucas and Vanessa's
Yeah.
baby, Patrick?
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that, she went to a mental hospital,
Hmm.
and she was then transferred once she was better to a low risk hospital. I think she was allowed out. So yeah, so it's
Day
kind of
release.
like day release. That's it. So yeah, so she was allowed back into the community. Wanted to make amends with people back in Erinsborough.
Yeah.
So she returned to Erinsborough again to try to become a model citizen.
Hmm.
She grew close to both Amy and Jimmy,
Yeah.
which obviously Paul did not like.
No.
He didn't want Steph mixing with Jimmy, with his grandson, so he ended up switching her medication
Yeah.
to make her go crazy again.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, mental health is a big thing. So like rewatching this and thinking, my gosh, someone who's like potentially like schizophrenic and you're messing with their
Amazing.
medication, like
Yeah.
that's just that's just such a low blow.
Yeah.
So luckily it didn't go that far because this is when Aaron first came
Yeah.
to the street, and he was randomly his Paul's bodyguard, Paul's
Because he
security.
was trying out like loads of different jobs basically and didn't know
That's
which one he wanted to do. Like, yeah.
random.
Yeah.
From his like kissogram
Yeah.
days,
Yeah.
stripogram or whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so basically he had um told Steph, I think he used Toadie's phone to text Steph it. So yeah, it just really shocks me, the whole mental health thing. And I just, yeah,
Mm.
she was a vulnerable adult and he completely took advantage of that. And I just think that's why, for me, I mean, it should really be number one, but
Yeah.
I just really love number one. So this is why it was number two.
I mean, that's like you said, I'm the same for mental health. That is intense. Like, I mean, why do we actually love this character?
Exactly.
Uh,
Why do we?
why do we love him anyway? So, what is the top spot?
So, the top spot at number one, and it's actually a recent one, very recent, from a couple of years ago. So I remember watching it, my jaw dropping, and I watched it again recently
Yeah.
because before the new episodes,
Yeah.
and it was when he tried to pay off Nicolette in exchange for baby Isla.
Yeah.
And she'd just given birth to Isla.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, is he really that desperate?
Mm.
You know, because up until this point, he'd found out he had two twin sons, David and Leo.
Yeah.
And we know family is like high on his list of priorities. So it was really important for him to kind of, you know, build those relationships with
Yeah.
David and Leo. Um, and he wanted to protect them like he always does. He wants to keep them close. But it's always at the detriment to doing the wrong thing. As we
Yeah.
know, that's his history. So yeah, he'd been doing lots of meddling to protect his family. And personally, I think he actually has more of a soft spot for David because he's more of a good moral person,
Yeah.
whereas Leo, you know, he's kind of cut from the same cloth. He's a
Mm.
little bit on the dodgy side. But anyway, Nicolette ran away to Canberra to give birth. She does give birth while she's out there. Paul finds her, offers her $1 million in exchange for Isla, and she says yes. That was a shock in itself. Like, how would you give up your baby for $1 million?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, you know, also, Paul, your family won't like this. Like, you're
Right.
literally meddling, and you know secrets. You know they always come out. The truth always comes out. So yeah, Dave and Therese, you know, they ended up going mad, didn't they, with them?
Yeah.
So yeah, the twist of that was that also Nicolette hadn't given up Isla, but another baby called Abigail, who was born at the same time as Isla, but was actually in fact Leo's baby.
Honestly, like,
So
literally,
it's
I remember
crazy.
it is, and I remember it so well. And it was like such a shocker, especially that twist. The fact that you were like, she hands the baby over and then she turns around and then there's another baby. And you're like, what the fuck? Who's that other baby? Where's that baby come? And she picks it up and she's like, it's okay, I'd never give you away. And you're like, whose baby is she just given to Paul? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
it, I mean, it
blew my
really,
mind. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
that really shook up all of
yeah.
his relationships, didn't it?
Yeah. And I think the reason why I put it as number one is because a lot of what happened with him and Therese,
Mm,
the crux was what happened there because that was the
yeah,
last straw for her, which
yeah,
then ruined them. And then they finally decided at the end of, you know, when it ended that, yes, we're going to give it a try. And then obviously they've broken them up again. So I feel like that's a really poignant, relevant
definitely,
scandal.
definitely. Well done. Good research.
So I thought it would be good to update listeners on events that are coming up.
Yeah. So Colette Mann, the lovely Colette Mann, who we love, who played Sheila Canning, she is going to be in Panto this Christmas in Red Hill, which is not too far from you, isn't it?
No, it's not too far.
So it will be at the Harlequin Big Top. Tickets are already on sale, so make sure you get that booked in.
Is there anything else?
There is indeed, yes. Jason Donovan is touring in February and March of 2025. Tickets went on sale this week, guys. So if you are a Scott fan, then get booking. Yeah, and he's doing meets and greets too.
Very nice. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think that's all we've got time for. So let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Right. Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
guys. Bye.